What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Link Up Podcast. We got international football, we got World Cup qualifiers, what teams are looking good, who has the best midfield, and who has the most depth. We'll get into that in this episode. As always, it's your boy Derz, and we got my boy Efrum. Say what's up.
What's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, like you said, World Cup is less than a year away. It's getting tight. This is where we're getting the real bread and butter. See who's looking good, see who's not, see who's gonna show up. So we thought we'd come on here and give you guys our predictions for who's gonna do the best, who's underperforming, who's overperforming, best teams, best depth, best midfield. But yeah, let's get to it.
So, teams that are looking good. You got your basic teams that are always looking good. We got Portugal in there, Spain, France. But outside of that, teams that, for me, that kind of flew under the radar, I think everybody's radar, are countries like Cape Verde, qualifying for their first ever World Cup. The Faroe Islands, very close to qualifying for their first ever World Cup, which, crazy thing about Faroe Islands, their population is about 54,000 people. That's smaller than like cities in cities in California, which is a huge accomplishment if they can make it to this World Cup. But they're up there. They're tied. I think they're 1 point below that second place spot. So right below Czechia. So that's going to be interesting to see them. Some other teams are Kosovo. Kosovo is in qualification. They're in that second place right now, so they could qualify over Sweden, who has been the biggest flop in my opinion. Another team is Norway. Norway's 6 for 6 so far this World Cup qualification, and Holland is inspired with Martin Odegaard right behind him, who's feeding him. This team has grown so much. This country has grown so much in the last couple of years, and I think that's because of Martin Odegaard and Holland. They've been two, I guess, experiments that actually came out, and they're actually making it. So because of that, they're really helping this country kind of boost up and actually maybe even qualify for a World Cup. I think they will. They're first place right now with not that much games left. I think they'll make it. And the Faroe Islands, I already mentioned. Norway, yeah. So yeah, these are the teams that I see coming into this World Cup that could potentially make it for the first time or for the first time in a while. That I think it's an incredible achievement. Also, want to big shout out to Colombia after they didn't qualify for the last World Cup. I think this time around they really did something better, and they've just been overall doing really well. They beat Mexico 4-0 this past international break, which I think there's reasons why and there's reasons pro for Colombia, but I think there was more reasons against Mexico that game. I think there were just a lot of injuries, a lot of issues, testing things out, and unfortunate for Mexico, but you can't win 4-0 without playing a good game. So I think Colombia is definitely a team to watch in this coming World Cup.
Yeah, Colombia's on fire, man. They've been cooking. Luis Diaz, James Rodriguez playing like he's never aging. Yeah, they have a good foundation. They got a good team. They got something that works. And playing for your country, you can tell they just bring something else out of them, And after not qualifying out to the last one, looking at them now, you would have never, they look like I feel like they got a real good chance this time. They might surprise. First off, I am a little sick, guys, so sorry if I sound like poop. Yeah, I mean, some other teams that I kind of like how they're looking is I really like how Turkey's looking. I mean, they got some youngsters, that can show out to win the World Cup. Maybe not this time, but definitely can take some points off from the big dogs. I mean, you got Giller and Yildiz, who are looking really good right now, and then you got the captain Çogunoglu, who just got his 100 cap internationally. So yeah, it's good to see Turkey teams like that doing really good. But besides that, I mean, let's get to the real meat of the World Cup, the real contenders. Who do we think has the best chance to win the World Cup right now? Well, let me give you this. I'm gonna give you my top three teams as of now, and then we could just kind of go off it. But I think right now the teams that are looking really good is Spain. Spain's looking incredible right now. They've undefeated, straight wins. I'm not even sure if they've gotten a goal conceded in them this qualifying round. Uh, they're just looking solid, and it's weird because they don't have like your traditional number nine. You know, you have Merino just scoring all the goals, which is, I mean, someone who used to play in the midfield, and he's just running the show up top and looking like a well seasoned striker. You know, he's scoring headers. He's in the right place at the right time. Uh, he's looking good, and but it's not just him running it for Spain. You know, you have the whole midfield with Pedri just running the show, and they have a good defense line. But they just, as a team, looking really solid. Excited for Spain. Can they do it all the way? We'll see. Other teams, I think, are going to be good contenders. I mean, England is always a shout, but they tend to underperform when it comes to these big tournaments. But if Thomas Tuchel gets it right, I mean, they have the team. Harry Kane's on fire. You have a bunch of standout players. It could be a choice of just making the right decision. Excuse me, the right decision with the players and seeing what they could, you know, if he could get the best out of him. But the way Kane is looking right now, he's not going to stop scoring. So if he keeps it up like that to next year, England's a big contender. And this third one, I'm gonna say Portugal because I mean, apart from Ronaldo, and I mean, I know he's 40 years old, but I mean, he just scored a brace. He broke the record for most goals qualifiers. Just there's no stopping him, you know. And they have a way better team than I think they've ever had, you know, over the last years, you know. And I think that has been just because, you know, Ronaldo being the inspiration for many Portugal players. Now uh, they have the team. You know, you got Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva. You have Rafael Leao. Like you have some real ballers on this team, and they got players in every aspect of every position. I think this is going to be, uh, this could be their year, you know. And who wouldn't like to see Ronaldo finally lift that World Cup, get his 1,000 goal in the World Cup final? I mean, like I see the story getting written right now, you know, and there's flame on the page right now because of how fire this will be, you know. 1,000 goals, World Cup. I mean, is it too good to be true? Maybe, but hey, we could dream. But yeah, I mean, anything could happen in the World Cup. I think right as of right now, those are probably the top three teams in the rankings, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, what about your top three, Ders?
Yes, I think England, Portugal, and Spain, without a doubt, are like teams that you're gonna always, well, not always. Portugal more recently than before, but at the moment, yeah, I think England, Portugal, Spain, they have all the arguments. Especially if Spain could recover Rodri, get him into form. It's hard. It would be hard to bet against Spain. England on paper, one of the best teams in the world. Can they get it right at the World Cup? I mean, we can only we can only see and hope. They've been getting close to winning a World Cup or a Euro in the last couple of years, so they've really been building up to this. But now they have a new coach, so hopefully, no more defensive Southgate ball and more offensive, more risk-taking ball from Tuchel, who's a proven manager at the club level. We'll see if he could do it at the international level. Someone similar, another country similar to that is Brazil. Brazil's, known for being one of the best countries in the world for soccer. First time having a non-Brazilian coach in Ancelotti, who has been proven more than any other coach, I think, at the club level. He knows a lot of the players, Vini, Rodrigo, from his time at Real Madrid. So I think Brazil definitely has a shout at winning the World Cup if Ancelotti could figure out the system. Um, but it's really hard. Argentina, I don't think Argentina could do a back to back World Cup champion. I definitely think that from the last World Cup to this World Cup, I think downgraded as far as like squad wise. I'm looking at that 2022 World Cup team that they had versus the team that they have now. I mean, a lot of their players don't even play in Europe anymore. So I think Argentina is not going to have the best of World Cups. France is always an option. France is always an option. They have a lot of depth. And Kylian Mbappe, who's inspired. But ultimately, I think if I'm going to put my money right now on anybody, it's hard to bet against Portugal. For me personally, just because like I am probably one of the biggest Ronaldo fans out there. But on top of that, I think that it's now or never for Portugal, and I feel like they know that it's now or never. So I think they're going to go into this World Cup a little bit more inspired than more than any other country. So I think that Portugal is going to have probably the best World Cup ever.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention with Portugal some of the players, but a lot of them are coming from PSG's team. I mean, Bruno Mendes, but probably. I mean, I'm gonna say he's the best left back in the world right now. I don't think anyone comes close. Vitinha, who's just running the show in the midfield. He's just he just sets the tone. He sets the pace, and when he wants, he just gets in those cracks. Starts from the back, 1-2 football, runs it up. Hits a little fake. Dice gets past two players. Super simple, but he just you can't. The other team can't score if they don't have the ball, and he just keeps the ball so well. You have and then João Neves too, who's a baller at PSG, who has really stepped up his game as of late, scoring goals from the midfield. Uh, and then you have Ruben Diaz, center back players I mentioned, Bernardo Silva, Ronaldo, Rafael Leao. Like as far as a starting 11, there's not many teams that come close. Again, I probably England gets pretty close. Uh, France has some good ballers too. Can't skip out on France. They always have a team. But yeah, like you said, if there's any moment for Portugal, it's this one. And uh, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. But yeah, I think let us know what you guys think. Who your top three is. I think we're gonna move on to the midfields. I thought this would be a pretty good topic to kind of just go over who's got the best sort of engine in their team, best midfield trio that could make or break a team. And I know not everybody plays with three midfielders, but for the most part, I mean, 4-3-3 is what we're seeing most of the time anyway. 4-3, we'll just stick with three midfielders. So you have teams, like I said, Portugal, Tinha, João Neves, and Bruno Fernandes, which is a pretty stacked midfield. Some sleepers, I think Netherlands, another good team, and you wouldn't think of their midfield, but they got reindeers at City. You got Gravenberch, who's is having an amazing season, and you have De Jong, who's just with Barcelona, a defensive beast, who could just create tempo and defend at the same time. He's that's a midfield not to be reckoned with. England, I mean, once Bellingham gets back, you have him, you have Declan Rice, and you have Cole Palmer. So all world class. That's a solid mid three. Brazil and Argentina, they're iffy for me right now. I mean, I haven't really seen much from Brazil. I feel like they've been underperforming in the qualifiers. Uh, Argentina, yes, they won the last one, but yeah, like you said, we haven't really seen a step up or bring any like outstanding players. Spain, what do they have in the midfield? They got Pedri,
Zubimendi,
Dani
they have
Olmo. I'd probably say yeah, Pedri, Zubimendi, Dani Olmo, which again they all play on world class teams. But Pedri's a beast, man. Like he could run that midfield himself if he wanted to. But you have a good threat with Dani Olmo and Zubimendi, keeping the tempo, keeping the passing. He's been having a good start to the season with Arsenal. What other team is out there? Oh, France. Manny Camavinga and
they sometimes play Rabiot.
Rabiot, which he's all right. But in Germany, which if Musiala gets back, you'd probably be having Musiala, Verts, Kimmich, or Goretzka, any of those three. which are all ballers too. But yeah, that's pretty much all the top teams in my book. Who so which one of those is the best midfield? And I love Portugal's midfield, but I think just I'm gonna have to go with England to have Bellingham, Declan Rice, and Cole Palmer. Who I mean, if they get that glue together, you have Declan Rice, who's a defensive beast. You got Bellingham, who's an engine, box to box, can do it all. And you have Cole Palmer just with the sauce up top. I mean, I feel like that hits all the check marks. It's the best rounded midfield. And when you have players like Saka, Harry Kane, Anthony Gordon, or Rashford, whoever is going to start on that left side, when you have players like that to feed, I think that midfield, man, is just it's just world class, world class. But close, probably have to go with Portugal's midfield just because Vitinha is a beast, and then Spain's all right. I mean, I love Spain's, but I think that Netherlands midfield with Gravenberch, De Jong, and Reindeers is going to be slept on this season, and could be the difference maker for them. So yeah, I think in that order, I'll rank the midfields for these upcoming international teams.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Yeah, that Netherlands squad was definitely one that you don't really think about. They usually run like a 5-3-2 or something like that, where they have the wingbacks kind of. They usually have five in the back or four midfielders and three in the back to have those outside backs kind of be those fullbacks. So you never really think about too much about the Dutch midfield, but it's definitely strong, especially with Gravenberch, who's been growing these last couple seasons with Liverpool. De Jong, who's finally consolidated himself really as one of the best midfielders in the world, I think. And then Reinders coming up in the last couple seasons after his big run with AC Milan, now at Man City. But also I wanted to mention France. France with you have Chomeni, you have Camavinga, you have Iliam. What is I forget his last name? The son. He's like he plays in Juve and his brother plays in Inter. Um, I forget his last name,
Let me see if I can
but
find.
Turam, of course, Turam. His
Oh,
dad,
Turan.
yeah, Turam.
Yeah, Turan's
But
a
also
beast.
they have Michael Olise, which you didn't mention before, and
Oh,
he
Lise.
he is a crack. He's a crack. So that midfield
France is
just
stacked. France has a good
yeah,
team.
France has crazy depth, but they what they need to figure out is what is going to be their starting 11. I think when they won the World Cup, they had the best midfield in the world. They had Pogba, Kante, and even Griezmann. Maybe you could say that he was at that cam with Kylian Mbappe on the wing, and I think Coman on the other side with Giroud up top. So that was one of the best midfields in the world. And that World Cup. But this World Cup, I think that France really needs to figure out who they want to start and just try to gel them together. Defensively, with Chomeni, Camavinga, that CDM type of position, I think they're in good hands. With Olise at cam, it's just who's going to play alongside either Camavinga or Chomeni, whoever Deschamps decides on. We mentioned Spain having one of the best midfields. Portugal with João Neves and João Neves
Vitinha,
and
Bruno
Vitinha,
Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, whoever you want to play in there. Also, I think what Portugal's missing is that physicality, that balance between having people that could run with the ball and having that shield that's going to stop that basically the offense from attacking you before they get too close to your defenders. And I think Palinha has to be that guy this season. He's been doing it really well with Tottenham, and I think that if he could continue in that fashion, in that manner, he definitely needs to be in that squad if they want to run a 4-3-3, which they don't really run that 4-3-3. But if Roberto Martinez can figure it out, I would love to see that kind of style of play with Palinha at CDM and then João Neves being that box to box, just running the whole game, and Vitinha being that free flowing midfielder. But it kind of makes sense depending because of the way that they have, certain players have certain qualities. I think Portugal's best set with Bruno as the cam, Joao Neves and Vitinha kind of running the whole show, with Joao Neves being the engine, being the person who does all the hard work, while Vitinha kind of being that person that can break the lines. But for me, the best midfield, um, I know it's international play and you don't really rotate that much, but England, I think if you look at England right now, what they're rocking, Declan Rice with Rogers as the cam, Declan Rice and Anderson as the holding midfielders. And that's a pretty decent midfield, but realistically, that's not going to be their midfield. Like we mentioned, you're going to see Bellingham and Cole Palmer kind of slot in for Anderson and Rogers. But then on top of that, you have players like Phil Foden. Um, I think Declan Rice is going to be the CDM and it's kind of guaranteed. But their midfield is, I think, extremely stacked, where you're going to have that internal competition where people are going to try their best to be there, and we're going to ultimately see the cream of the crop, the very best of the very best. So for me, I think that overall, unless Spain can recover Rodri at full potential, and of course this is we're kind of assuming that England will recover Bellingham at full potential, which, I mean, Bellingham's that guy, and Cole Palmer also best players in the world. So, but if Rodri can recover, and Bellingham and Cole Palmer can recover, and they're going to come into this World Cup at their best, it's ultimately going to be an England versus Spain midfield battle to see who has the best midfield. And I think that England edges it for me just because of the balance that they have, right? With Spain, you have a lot of, I mean, they're known for the midfielders, right? The tiki-taka style of play that people are, you start out in Spain just learning the fundamentals of just passing and moving and passing and moving. So they kind of have that edge on them historically. But I think this England squad has the most balance with Jude Bellingham, who is not too forward thinking, and he can do a defensive job for you. Declan Rice, who can come up and attack, but ultimately he's best defensively. And then with a Cole Palmer, who's just exceptional. I think that even if you have Fabian Ruiz, uh, uh, Rodri, and Pedri, I think England still beats them.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Well, I guess we'll just see if how well they do. Moving on, I think lastly we want to talk about depth, which will come in play just because, I mean, as much as we don't want to see it, injuries do happen. It's a short tournament. You need players fresh uh, in depth. You want to be able to make subs, and the level of the play doesn't go down. So, as far as depth, um, England's always going to have a lot of good players. They got a lot of depth. Uh, See, that's the thing with Portugal. If their starting 11 is probably one of the best, but who do they really bring in? Like to replace their players. Um, I mean, for Ronaldo, they have Ramos, which plays with PSG. So I mean, he's solid. But in other positions, I mean, on the right, what's that guy's name? Consao. Like, uh, he's a beast too when he turns it up. But you see the same style of play with him, and somebody catches on. He might be able to shut him down. But he's so fast. He's so techy. Um, Not bad. But in other areas, there isn't really much in the bench, in my opinion. Uh, Spain, again, they have that midfield. They got that. They got. I think they're more of a system working team. Like you said, Tiki Taka. They know what works. They're good as a team. Uh, Maybe the players aren't as important because they have a system that works. But you still want those players. I mean, Pedri, no Pedri. I don't think Spain's the same. So yeah. I mean, as far as depth, I mean, I feel like we haven't really talked about Comebol, or not Comebol. Is it? Yeah, Comebol. But I think part Brazil will always have players. There's a lot of Brazilians balling out throughout Europe. This could be Esteval's World Cup for him to really stand out. Hopefully, Vinny decides to show up and have himself a laugh. I mean, who do they really have strikers? Like Richarlison, like uh, besides that, who? Nah, you don't really have a solid number 9 for Brazil. Argentina, I feel like they've only their depth has only gone down. Players leaving uh, Europe. I mean, you do have that new Real Madrid player who from River Plate could be a good show out for him. Colombia too. I mean, they're just that starting 11. They're informed. They're good. They'll do really good. But players are gonna get tired. They might pull some muscles. Hopefully not. But if they do, who's there to cover them up? So I think as far as depth, uh, France has a really good depth. They got players to choose from, and so that's going to help him out a lot. You have Coman if si está convocado, Olise, Mbappe, Camavinga, Chumeni. They got many players besides them that are all like in top teams, world class. I think as far as depth, France and England are the top dogs with players, and I think England just outshows everybody. They have too many players. You could bring in their whole bench, I feel like, and it's still they're still going to compete. You're mentioning Rogers. You're mentioning, like we said, Rashford or Anthony Gordon on the left. Um, on the right, you could put Saka or Madueke or that midfield. Aaron Rodgers, Anderson, that guy from Crystal Palace, and
Wharton.
Warden. So I mean, I think I'm gonna go again with England. I think they have the best depth, and yeah, as far as overall, because of the depth, I mean, they're looking, like they could be. We brought up our initial top 3. Any of those could win the World Cup. It depends on their day. If lack of fitness or players getting tired comes into becomes a factor. I think England might have the edge, and they might take it. I think that their depth is good, their midfield is good, they got players all around. I mean, yes, we've seen this before where they do have a solid stacked team, but they've been getting closer and closer. So if just like Portugal, yeah, this could be their year. This could be their year. So yeah, I think as far as depth goes, England tops the chart. France is looking close, and yeah, besides that, I think those are really the big dogs.
Yeah, for me, the depth, I'll agree with you with England and France. They have crazy depth. Also, Brazil. I mean, when you look at their squad, um, they have like in every position, you could definitely argue that anybody could start in that position. You have Alisson, who's obviously the better between him and Ederson, but you also have Ederson, right? And in your back line, these last couple of games, they've been kind of rotating it, trying out new players. But you got Marquinhos at center back. You have Militao. You have Gabriel Magalhaes from Arsenal. Really good options for you in the back. Their midfield, Bruno Guimaraes, Paquetá, Casemiro, if he can still, if he fits. They just have a lot of players, I think. But where they shine, I think, in depth is their forwards, with the wingers, Martinelli, Rodrigo, Vinicius. If Neymar could get his shit together, Neymar, Estevao, Endrick, if he could recover. But then also at strikers, you mentioned Richarlison, but there's also Joao Pedro. So they definitely have
Joao
the depth in
Pedro,
they definitely have the depth in the offense. But France, I mean, France is crazy. Like you mentioned, Olise. Um, on the wings, you have Kylian Mbappe. You have Osman Dembele, Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola,
damn.
Griezmann. If he makes it, I mean, this team is extremely strong. You look at their defense. You have William Saliba, Upamecano. You have Konate from Liverpool. On the right, you have Jules Koundé. On the left, they've been starting Lucas Digne, but there's also Lucas. Is it Lucas or no? Teo Hernandez at center back. You have Lucas Hernandez. Their goalies is the only position where I'm kind of iffy about. I don't really like Mike Magnan. People do rate him, but to be honest, I don't. But Lucas Chevalier from PSG is definitely another shout, depending on how his season goes. But yeah, I mean, as far as depth, it's hard to argue France. I think, in my opinion, I think they have the most
They also
depth in every
have
position.
Ekitike and Nkunku.
Ekitike and Kunku. So if they could figure out a way to just kind of like work with the best, because like I mentioned before, historically, countries usually just play with their first 11 and just run it until the end of the World Cup, and they're inspired because it's the World Cup and they know like it's now or never. So they just want to play every minute. So people are going to make sure that they stay fit and stuff. Leading up to the World Cup, a lot of injuries happen because people are overextending themselves, just pushing it too far because they want to make it. They want to impress the international coaches to make it to that World Cup. So that's where a lot of injuries happen, and that's when depth is going to play. Also, this World Cup is going to be a lot. It's going to be 48 teams instead of the traditional 32. So there's going to be more games, which is ultimately going to require you to have a little bit more of a fresher squad. So depth is definitely going to be a huge point in this World Cup. Like you mentioned, Portugal has an incredible starting 11, but who do you bring off that bench? What happens if Vitinha gets injured? I don't know who could cover him. Honestly, I don't know. But then you look at France. If Olise gets injured, that sucks, but you could put somebody else in there. If Kylian Mbappe, arguably one of the best players in the world, gets injured, it sucks, but you could put somebody else there. Ousmane Dembélé is the current Ballon d'Or winner. If he gets injured, it would suck, right? But you could still put somebody else in there. So ultimately, France, I think, has the most depth as far as the quality off the bench. England has probably second best depth in my opinion, but I think that the quality that France offers you off the bench is the best in the world. And I think that maybe they haven't been performing as of late, as of the last couple years. Like the Euros, their last Euro kind of was iffy, and then that last World Cup they made it to the final and they lost. And in penalties, that kind of sucked. But I think that right now France is probably best country in the last decade. And if they could do something this World Cup, that would definitely solidify that France has been one of the best countries as far as football goes in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of new names that I didn't realize, but I mean, I just wanted to mention those attackers again for France: Mbappe, Olise, Dembele, Barcola.
Desiree
Who's the
Douet,
striker? Doué, Ekitike,
Ekitike,
Nkunku. That's already 8 players.
Jean-Philippe Mateta from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, Mateta, he's been having a good season, but that's just 8, 9 players that we just mentioned. You can't just have a team with a bunch of forwards, you know. I mean, you can. I wonder if people have done it. I wonder if it's worked. Um, you have to choose 3 or 4. Who do you pick? I mean, you got the World Cup winner. You have Mbappe, Olise. I feel like those are non-negotiable starters. And then who's been playing above? Like, do you put Mbappe as a striker over Ekitike and put like someone like Doué on the left, or do you give Ekitike the chance and be a striker? And you know what? I saw when Ekitike did play, they played with Mbappe and Ekitike both on the strikers. It was more like a 4-4-2. So they could play that. Behind you play Doué on the left, Olise in the middle or right, Barcola, and I mean you still have Tchouameni, Camavinga, Rabiot. But if they make that 4-4-2 work with 2 strikers and everybody else behind them, just let's say you do play Tchouameni, you play Barcola on the left, you put Lisa in the middle, and Tchouameni could be more like a defensive. Olise could be more as like a cam almost for them. And on the right, you have Dembele. such an attacking team, but you are sacrificing a CDM by chance. But why does it matter if you have the ball the whole time and you're scoring goals? If you outscore the other team, I mean that'd be pretty interesting uh, to see them. If they ever do run that, but um, I'm just trying to figure out ways how do you fit such a stacked team like that, But yeah, I think France definitely has a stacked as team, and I mean, can they make it work? We haven't seen the best from them yet. Maybe they're still trying to figure things out, trying to try different things, but I mean, they're still top of their group. It's not like they're not. It's not like they're playing like poop. But I think they ended up like getting a tie this past international break with some. What team was it? Like it wasn't even that good of a
Iceland.
team, but
Is Iceland.
oh, it was Iceland. Yeah, and Iceland is they're third place, but that's the only tie they've had. So it's not like they're playing horrible, but you typically expect uh, comfortable wins from France. Yeah, they definitely do have the depth. It's going to be a good World Cup. I'm excited. There's no clear winner. I mean, as I feel like it's like that every year. We didn't really talk much about Germany. I feel like, but they haven't really shown me too much. Seems like they're still trying to figure out what they got. We're still waiting on Musiala to come back. Uh, Verts has been playing really well with Germany, but they haven't been getting the numbers on board. They've been scraping 1-0 wins. Um, I mean, I think that's what they did the last game. The game before that was, I think they did smack that team actually. But I mean, they're still sitting pretty up top. They're gonna make qualifiers. They're tied with Slovakia with 9 points, so Slovakia's been doing good. Yeah, they smacked Luxembourg. They won 1-0 against Northern Ireland. But we haven't been seeing the same Germany that we did see with when they had Tony Cruz and their standout players they've had. Like I can't think right now, but you still have Kimmich, you still have Goretzka, you still have Verts waiting on Musiala to come back. Um, you have Gnabry, who looked pretty good actually this past game. Typically, they have a pretty stacked lineup too, but Voldemort from Netherlands, uh, he's
Netherlands.
having a good start. Netherlands,
You said
Newcastle.
Netherlands.
Oh, Newcastle.
The
You have
sickness.
Adeyemi, who's just fast as hell. You have Ta and Schlotterbeck in the back. Kimmich. They put Kimmich right back. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the best from Germany either. We'll see if they've managed to make it work. But yeah, that's been our World Cup predictions as of now. Let's see how they change throughout the next upcoming months. We're in October. It's not set to start in June. You said June, July?
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure it's
June.
June. I think it's always
Yeah.
in June.
So what? So we have like 9 months, 8 months to go. But yeah, it's looking really good. I like what it's cooking. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. We have a good World Cup, and every team is there just giving it its all. And we get another World Cup as interesting as the last one. And hopefully Mexico takes it home. You know. But yeah, I don't know anything you want to add.
No, I mean we said everything basically, and yeah, more than anything, just hope that all these players could stay fit because you don't want to have a World Cup that's oh, but we would have won if we had this player, or things would have been different if this player
Yeah.
wasn't injured. So hopefully everyone could come into this World Cup fit.
No market voices. Unluckiest lad ever. So hopefully none of that. But yeah, let us know what your predictions are, who your top three teams are, any outstanding teams we missed, any black horses. Yeah, we'd love to hear it. Just let us know in the comments down below. If you want to see more, give us a follow, subscribe, leave a like. Appreciate the views, the likes, everything. But yeah, we'll see you on the next one then.
Peace.
Peace.